Hello and welcome to Eris Klein's Procreate sets. Before you begin with one of my Procreate sets, I would like to go over some of the basics. You will learn how to identify your brush type, how to apply one-color brushes, how to use two-color brushes, and lastly, learn how to master your brush stroke by taking in consideration 4 qualities. If you wish to skip ahead in this video, I've divided it up into chapters, so if you just hover over the play bar, you will see the different chapters, or look below in the YouTube description, and there I have the chapters. So let's get started. When you first open one of my brush sets, you will see that each brush has a name, and then it will tell you whether it's a one-color or two-color brush. And lastly, it tells you whether it is a stamp or a brush. A stamp is where you just tap the canvas with your stylus, and a brush is where you literally do that. You brush across the canvas to create the image. This makes it very clear what each brush is and what it does, so that you can create easily. So first, let's take a look at one-color brushes. So if you look here, this is from my Ocean Garden set, and up here are one-color brushes where you brush it on, and these are one-color stamps where you stamp it on. Of course, not with a real stamp, with your stylus. But anyway, so let's take a look at how you add color to that, because it's the easiest. All you need to do is go up to the active color dot right here and grab a color. If your set comes with a color palette, it will show here. You can select colors from it, or you can go into these other panels here and find a color of your own right there. So I'm going to go ahead and go into, let's see, the Ocean Garden set for just the heck of it. And I'm going to get the number 1 coral one color stamp. All right. And I'm going to click the active color circle at the top here and grab a color. So let's see, I think I'll grab this reddish color, and you'll see it puts it into the active circle. Then all I have to do is decide on my size of my brush and the opacity. So do I want it completely opaque, or do I want a little bit of transparency? As I pull it down, it gets more transparent. I think I'll go with full opacity. All right, so all I have to do is stamp it. So I tap the surface with my stylus, and voila, there it is. So now let's try a one-color brush. All right, so I'll click the little brush icon, and I think I'll pick this one, the number 2 Seaweed one-color brush. Click it, so it's highlighted. Go up to the little circle up here called the active color. Select my color. So maybe this time I'll do like a sort of deep aqua green kind of color. And then select my size and my opacity. And now I just brush. There we go. All right. Now this one has some pressure sensitivity, so the harder I bear down onto my stylus, the wider it gets, and the lighter I go, the thinner it gets. I'll talk more about this later, but for right now, that is how you add color to a one-color brush. Now let's take a look at two-color. It's a little trickier. if you've never used a two-color brush, this is how you do it. You go over to your color picker here, and I can see that that little round circle there, it's filled with white. So that means my brush is going to have white on it. So I'll click it, and if your set comes with a color palette, it will show here. You can select colors from it, or you can choose your own colors. But I need to pick two colors somehow. So let's say I'm going to use a dark purple and a lemony yellow. So let's see. Okay, so then I would go ahead and pick my dark color. Let's see. Do I want a real dark purple or just a purpley purple? There we go. Maybe that. And then if you look, wait, where do you set the second color? Well, here is where you get it. When you're in the palettes, you're only going to see one color. But then if you go down here, there's 4 different palettes that you can choose colors from. They're just different formats. They're the same thing. You pick colors from them. They're just different formats. My favorite one is the Classic because it looks the most like Photoshop, and I've used Photoshop for decades, so it feels most comfortable to me. All right, so there's my Pansy Garden. I can pick more colors, but look, there we go. Up here are 2 little swatches. That's where you can place a primary color, which is on the left-hand side, and a secondary color, which you'll see showing on the right-hand side. So right now it says my primary color is purple, and I also, just to double check if the purple is also up in that little round circle there, and then the second one on the right is my secondary color. Well, I really want the purple to be my secondary color. All right, so let's do this. We got to get purple into the right-hand side. That's the darker color. There we go. Now the purple is in there. And then I'm going to click the little swatch on the left-hand side and pick my primary color. And double check that it's showing up here too. You want your primary color to show up there. Because look, I could click here, and even though the left and right look correct for me, if I look up here, this is going to end up being the primary color. It kind of like overrides it. So be careful to make sure that the left sides and the circle up here are the same color. That's something I struggled with when I first started Procreate. I was like, why is it switching my colors? So let's try one of the brushes. I'm going to click the brushes. I'm going to go for the number 1 full Pansy 2-color brush. And I already set the colors I want. And this particular 2-color brush is a stamp. And so when I tap the surface, I will instantly get a multicolored image. It's really amazing. So let's try it. Here we go. Bam! There you go. Multicolored flower, just like that. Brushes have different qualities, so it's important to understand how you use your brush as you stroke it across the canvas. There are 4 qualities that you need to take into consideration. The 4 qualities are the direction that you're going, the pressure that you're using, the tilt of your stylus, and the speed in which you're drawing. Let's take a look at those and try them out on different brushes. First, just for comparison, let's look at a brush that has almost no qualities that you have to consider, and that is Procreate's technical pen underneath the inking pens. All right, so I'm going to look at the technical pen. Now, the technical pen is, I can just draw it, and it doesn't matter what pressure I use, it still has consistency of thickness. If I tilt my stylus, it doesn't affect it. Let me see if I use different speeds. It doesn't affect it. It pretty much stays really consistent, which is great for some things where you want a consistent line. So let's look at direction. If I pick the brush pen under the calligraphy pens, it is, let's see, I'll enlarge it here. If you can see, its shape as I hold this down is sort of an oval. The shape of the brush is going to affect your direction a lot of times. So if I draw in this direction with the pen, it's that thickness. But if I draw in this direction, it's a little bit thicker. So you can see that direction that I go is going to be really important in what I get. And these are calligraphy pens, so you want sort of like a thick and thin stroke. It's great for doing lettering where you have thick and thin, and it gives it some character. So sometimes decorative brushes depend on direction. For example, here's my Pansy leaf brush. If I brush up, you'll notice that the leaf is going up. But if I want a leaf going down, I have to brush downwards. And the same goes for horizontal. A leaf that is going to point to the right, I have to brush from left to right. And if I go from right to left, I have a leaf that's pointing to the left. So direction is really important for creating these leaves. So now let's look at pressure. Here's a seaweed brush from my Ocean Garden set. It relies a lot on pressure. So here I'm going to start light, and then I'm going to go heavy, light, heavy, light. Let's do that again. Okay, so you can kind of see this first one wasn't very good, and that's why you need to practice these. But if you look at this one right here, that's starting to look like a wavy seaweed. It's got that wonderful thick and thin quality, and also gives an idea of maybe depth, like the thicker parts are coming closer to you and the thinner parts are going away. So pressure can be part of that quality that you have to work with in a brush. So it's always good to find out what each brush does before you actually use it. Okay, so next I'm going to look at tilt. And I'm going to pick this 6B pencil from the sketching set in Procreate. So if I hold my stylus at a 90-degree angle to my iPad, I will get a dark line like that. But if I angle my stylus, so I'm going to angle it, let's see, I think I'll angle it like this. Look how much I'm angling it. I will get a rougher, lighter, sort of grainy texture going on there. That's similar to a real pencil in that a real pencil, you can use it, upright, or if you angle it, you'll get more of a broad edge, and you can do like shading. So that's a particular brush that responds to the way you tilt it. So that's another thing to to practice and see if your brush is affected by the tilt. And last but not least is speed. Some of the more complex brushes, like I have these two color leaf brushes in my Pansy garden and a couple of my other flower sets, they will sometimes respond to the speed of your stroke. So here's a leaf brush from the Pansy garden set. Let's see here. Whoops. Okay, so if I go really slow, notice how it's laying down these images. And that's a pretty boring looking leaf. I want it to kind of have a nice tip at the edge. These are also, by the way, sensitive to pressure. So a lot of times when you're going slow, you're bearing down at a consistent thing. But even if I lighten up, look at weird things are happening. I mean, what? Because I'm going too slow for this brush. So I'm going to start this over, and I'm going to speed up the stroke and get a feel for how fast I need to go. So that was too slow. There we go. Way better. I went faster, and then at the end I lightened up. I actually used speed and pressure. So heavier pressure, lighter pressure, and a quick stroke. So speed is really important in this one. If I go too fast, that's going to happen. So this is something where you have to get a feel for it, practice it before you do it. If a brush is coming out all wonky, then that's an indication that you're going too slow. So you need to get a feel for how fast you're going to move across the canvas. Okay, so those are the 4 qualities you need to take into consideration when you're brushing with a brush onto your canvas. You need to think about what direction are you going, what pressure are you using, what is the tilt of your stylus or Apple pen, and then what speed are you using. So always practice your brushes ahead of time and then apply them to your work, and you're sure to be a success. Congratulations for learning how to use my Procreate brush sets. And hit subscribe to learn about new and upcoming brush sets and fun tutorials for Procreate and Adobe Fresco.